In a wide-ranging speech titled The Democratic Imperative, the Foreign Secretary spoke at length about the situations in Burma, Kenya, Pakistan and in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I understand the doubts about Iraq and Afghanistan and the deep concerns at the mistakes made. But my plea is that we do not let divisions over those conflicts obscure our national interest, never mind our moral impulse in supporting movements for democracy around the world. We must not be glib about what democracy means. It means far more, or it needs to mean far more, than a quinquennial ballot. We can't be self-satisfied about the state of our own democracy. We can't impose democratic norms. But we can, I think, be clear about the desirability of government by the people, and clear that without hubris or sanctimony, we can play a role in backing demands for democratic governance and all that goes with it.
Mr. Miliband turned to the present situation in Burma.
At this moment, that any lack of humility I might have had began to fade away as it was terrible. The world community looks closely with what I would call caution rather than expectation, but also hope as well as skepticism, at all suggestions from the regime about how to achieve progress and reconciliation. This week, the regime has called for a referendum on a new constitution and elections in 2010. I would say for any process to have credibility, two things must happen. First, Aung San Suu Kyi must be released immediately and allowed to participate, along with other ethnic groups, along with other political leaders and ethnic groups, in drafting the constitution and in the subsequent referendum campaign. And secondly, the UN Special Envoy, Ibrahim Gambari, should be allowed to return immediately to Burma to help facilitate the process of democratic renewal. When those things happen, we'll know we've got a process underway that really does hold out the hope of freedom for the people of Burma.
In broader terms, the Foreign Secretary argued that the democratic process provided a peaceful way to combat terrorism.
There are no military solutions to the insecurity and injustice that helps to breed terrorism. There are only political solutions. The military can help, the military can win victories, but the solution has to come through politics. Democracy provides a way of resolving competing interests and claims on resources in a peaceful way. In countries such as China, not a weak state but a strong state, seeking a stable path to political reform, it's important to recognize that democracy is not a threat to instability, but a way to guarantee it.
Change, he argued, could occur quickly and without much warning.
And she said that when they begin to crumble, authoritarian regimes don't collapse slowly, they collapse fast, overnight. The fight, of course, needs uncompromising courage. But when it's over, different qualities are needed. Courageous in some ways, but reason, patience, calm, a readiness to reconcile and forgive. These are qualities that I find it easy to associate with the patient suffering of Burmese men and women, but also the passionate urgency with which they have taken to the streets to demand their rights, both of qualities which Aung San Suu Kyi herself embodies. When it awarded the Nobel Peace Prize to Aung San Suu Kyi, the Nobel Committee said this: it wanted to, quote, show its support for the many people through the world, brackets I would add, famous and not so famous, who are striving to attain democracy, human rights, and ethnic conciliation by peaceful means. That is the sentiment that I want to echo today. I believe we should argue that democracy, in its richest and most subtle forms, can take root in all societies. I hope and believe that in time it will.
The human right to independence and self-government, he said, requires no less.